going to wait just a second, everybody. We're having a little bit of projector issue, and you know these songs are so hard. We want y'all to have as much help as you can. We'll get started in just a second. Carrie just said, you know, I think we used to do church without projectors. I think we'll be fine. So we're about to figure that out. Was that a yes, let's go? Brent just gave me that obviously means let's go. Everybody stand up, let's do this thing. So good. We worship you with screens or not screens in your beautiful name. Amen. Y'all may be seated.
Amen. Good morning, church. How are y'all doing? Very good. Oh, that wasn't enough. Good morning, church. How are y'all doing? Yeah, all right. Man, it's so good to see y'all here. We have a lot of things coming up. You know, school is almost upon us, right? Let's get a cheer, young people. It's awesome. School back in. Some of y'all are going to college. So very exciting. Woo! Yeah, I know they're excited. So getting out of mom and dad's house. Oh, buddy. Okay. All right. So announcements we have. Next week, every 2 months we have a class called Hilltop 101. If you want to know more about how our church operates and where it's been, where it's going, then that will be right after church. We have food and we have childcare. You just go onto our church app and sign up for that. If you don't have our church app, you can get that. Just go get with one of our connections people as you leave out, and they'll help you get that app, and you can sign up for Hilltop 101. August the 6th is the Back to School Bash. We do that every year with about 3 or 4 other churches in the area where we gather school supplies and shoes and other things for students to get ready to go back to school. We're offering haircuts like we do every year. So we get together, and it's probably going to be at the 7th and 8th grade school this year indoors because it's, snowman melting in summer hot. It's very hot. And so hopefully it'll be inside. And then so we want to be able to give these people in our community that have a hard time finding school supplies, we want to help them out with that. So please begin to get that in your head. You can get online actually already and go find out what the school supply lists are, not only for our school that starts in a handful of weeks, but for the ISD schools, which will be collecting for that event, Back to School Bash, on the 6th in the evening. It'll take about 2 or 3 hours, so we need people to volunteer to help set out school supplies, set out tables, all of that. And then, of course, we need the church to go out and get school supplies and help these people in our community. Also, August the 13th, which is the following Sunday, is a area-wide prayer rally, and it will be held at the high school auditorium. So everybody come. It's that evening. I think it's at 6 o'clock. It's a great time of worship and just a time to pray for our teachers, children, everything that has to do with our school. And last but not least, y'all see a lot of stuff is changing out there and out here. The parking is about to really radically change in the front, and a lot of that's going to be fenced off. So, public service announcement, we're going to leave all of this close for people that need that. We're going to make new handicap parking spaces out here close. So be mindful of that. Leave the close areas, and we'll mark off some areas too for visitors. We want to be able to have parking spaces out front easily accessible for visitors so they don't have to go find places. So we are having the golf cart ministries as well, so you can park all along the side and in the new parking lot that's almost done. And then we'll be able to shuttle you back and forth. So we also have a need for people to drive the golf carts. It's really boring. So not really. It's awesome, a lot of fun. Yep. Not NASCAR, no. We can't hit anybody. Rubbin's not racing here, okay? So that's enough of that. I'm so glad to see y'all this morning. Let's pray, get our hearts ready. Man, we have 2 baptisms today. And incredible that God is moving in the lives of young people and our people and people in the community. So exciting. So let's pray. God, we love you so very much. And God, we come to you this morning. I know we came in with whatever baggage we had. God, I pray that you'd help us to lay that down. To lay down whatever it is that we brought in with us that doesn't belong in our lives. I pray that we would be able to do that quickly. And when we sing to you and we worship, that there would be nothing standing in between you and us. God, that our hearts would be crying out to you, that there would be joy even in the suffering or whatever it is that we're dealing with today. That God, that you are more important than anything else that we have going in our lives. Whether we know it or not, you are everything to us. God, I pray as we worship you that you would just be so excited about your children that are crying out to you because we love you so much. In Jesus' name, amen.
Would y'all stand, please?
searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. A man's empty praise and treasures of faith are never enough. Then you came along and put me back together. And every desire's now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. I I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, and you still call me friend. 'Cause the God of the mountains is the God of the valley. There's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Lord, there's nothing, nothing is better than you. Sing it out. There's nothing. Oh, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you.
Ghost is a fire, holy flame burning wild, burning through the night, burning with the light of a billion stars. Love is like lightning, cracking through the sky.
Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. All the stories are true. This ghost is inside. He'll heal you. He'll heal you. He'll heal you. He'll heal you.
Calm the storms on the raging sea. You calm this heart in me. You quiet the storm in me. And when it's dark and I cannot see, you light the way for me. You are the way for me. And oh, what a sweet, sweet love. Oh, you would die for us. And oh, what a sweet, sweet love. Oh, you would die for us. You build a wall against my enemies, and you surround me. You protect me, and you fight for me when I am weak, and you won't abandon me. No, you will never leave. And oh, what a sweet, sweet love. Oh, you would die for us. And oh, That's why it's called Amazing Grace. And oh, how it all falls into place. And yeah, that's why it's called Amazing Grace. And what a friend in Jesus. And oh, what a friend indeed. And oh, what a friend in Jesus. And oh, what a friend indeed. And oh, what a sweet, sweet love. Oh, you would die for us. And oh, what a sweet, sweet love. Oh, you would die for us.
God is my shepherd, I won't be wanting, I won't be wanting. He makes me rest in fields of green, with quiet streams. Even though I walk through the valley of death and dying, I will not fear, 'cause you are with me, you are with me. Your shepherd staff comforts me. You are my feast in the presence of enemies. Surely goodness will follow me in the house of God forever.
I won't be wanting. Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. That could be enough said. But as the good shepherd does, he gives us so much more. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
The shepherd's staff comforts me. You are my feast in the presence of enemies. Surely goodness will follow me in the house of God forever. In the house of God forever. Lord, let us be found in your pasture, in your flock, listening to your voice alone. In your beautiful name, Jesus, we ask. Amen. Y'all can be seated. Steph, will you run that first video while I'm transitioning? Good story. Check. I wanted to come in and say, does your spiritual walk feel like this? Because there are days where I feel like the sheep in the tire swing, and he's looking at the owner like, aren't I great? Like, look, I got it figured out, and all the other sheep are going, you're an idiot, you know that, right? And I'm like, there's my life. That's the story of my life. Today we're doing the 23rd Psalm on the 23rd. I didn't just pick it because it was the 23rd. Also sprained my ankle, so I'm gonna be sitting a little bit. Thomas, thank you for sharing. You've got such a powerful voice, and I don't know if you caught it. He goes, the Lord is my shepherd, and his mic wasn't on yet, and he goes, and that's all I need to say. And I heard it, and you're right, because really I'm only doing verse 1 because there's just so much. Last time I got to share, I brought the names of God. And when I wrapped it up, I brought in who God says you are, right? And so what I want to continue to do is talk about who God is and then talk about who we are in relation to him. So you'll hear me use the term the Imago Dei, the image of God. And what we do is we translate. If you can bring the reverb down on my mic just a hair, that'd be great. It echoes back off the wall. I'm constantly going, who am I in relation to you, Jesus? Like, I get that he loves me. I understand the scripture, but like, I guess he had 12 disciples, right? Who would I be? Who in the mix? Would I be like Peter, or would I be a Judas, right? So I'm constantly just kind of messing with my brain on, what do you think of me, Lord? And so I did think it was interesting that he calls us sheep. So Years ago, I read this book called Cat and Dog Theology. If you're like me, let's just do the show of hands thing. If you're a cat person, raise your hand. Okay. If you're a dog person, raise your hand. You cat people better watch out, right? This guy, Gerald Robinson, came to our church years ago, and he brought this book. It was a really fun kind of study, and the gist of the book is this. The dog says, you clothe me, you feed me, you pet me, you must be God. And the cat says, you clothe me, you feed me, you pet me, I must be God, right? And I think what Robinson will say in the book, he's like, a lot of our theologies isn't incorrect, it's just incomplete. And a lot of times what we end up doing is God's doting on me, he's doing all this stuff, surely I must be the object of his utmost affection, right? He must love me the most because of what he does. And truth be told, he loves himself the most. Because if he were to love me more than he loved himself, that would be idolatry. He is the one worthy of the most love. But then God calls us sheep. But I don't want to be a sheep. I want to be a dog. And I'd have these back porch sessions with my blue heeler, just brilliant creature, right? It's just awesome. And I'd say, Brock. I had a Holly and Edelbrock. I had carburetor dog names. Yep, Gearhead. And Holly was like a cat, honestly. She had it figured out, and Brock was all about me, and he'd sit at my feet, and I'd start to move, and he's like, what are we doing? You need me? Okay, cool. Brock, yeah, what are we doing? And he was just a really, really neat dog. Ended up taking him to Cambodia, and there was this herd of about 40 cows coming in to our business, and Cambodia is a fence-em out country. America's a fence them in. So if I wanted those cattle to be outside of my property, I had to put a fence up. Well, I had a lot of property. I was renting, so I didn't have the money for it. And so these cows would come in, and they'd just, they're cows. And it was like Brock knew. He's like, I got this today, Dad. And wherever my fence line would have been, he's like sitting there, and he ran them off, and he did what cattle dogs do. And I was like, that was awesome. And they called them moko, the kids that look at the cows, and they were like, how did you get him to do that? Like, don't eat them. Let's start there. Don't eat your dogs, right? And it's true. So boy, it would be easier to stomach if God called me a dog, right? Because to me, I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of smarts in that. And there's one time in Scripture where the Syrophoenician woman comes to Jesus, and Jesus, she's like, Lord, I need you. And he says, it's not fit for me to bring what's meant for the children to the dogs. Essentially, he's saying, I'm here for the Jews first, not for the Gentiles. And so Jesus calls her a dog. I want to be in the room. What did he say? How did he say it? Because what? And she says, yes, Lord, but even the dogs hunger for the scraps from the master's table. And he says, yep, your faith is great. You're healed, Like, okay, Jesus called her a dog one time. There's no other indication. He calls us sheep a lot. So, I grew up in the suburbs, just calling it what it is, y'all. I didn't grow up in Springtown, and the more I'm around here, I hear about sheep men and sheep women constantly, and the more I am around those that have done ag and FFA, got it. First of all, I'm amazed by the work ethic. I keep hearing amazing things about the relationship between sheep and shepherds, right? So that may be all we do today. I got to check my notes. I'm going to get ahead of myself. You know how it goes with me. Squirrel. Yep. I almost squirreled when you said squirrel. Yeah. Okay. Can we have a little fun today, please? Okay. I want to try something. The more I kept asking the sheep men and sheep women about sheep, they would say something that was like, the preacher in me is like, oh, that'll preach. Oh, that'll preach. So here's what I want you to do. Please don't be bashful. Anytime you hear anything that's like, that'll preach, then say it, and obnoxiously loud, okay? Yes. Thank you, Dave Myers, like something like that, or just preach, okay? So much so that when I was talking with Stacy, she knew, like, I'm hanging on her every word, and she's talking to me, and she's like, I don't want to say what I'm about to say because that'll preach. And she's trying to feed me lines that don't apply to the relationship between the shepherd and the sheep because it's low-hanging fruit, but it's just so blatantly in front of us. So for us non-agriculture types, like, to me, I'm just soaking in the intel. Like, this is fantastic. Do you realize what you just said? It may be a morning of hearing from sheep men and sheep women. And then y'all are smart folks. Like, you can go home and go, oh, right? So let's practice. I'm going to say one that I don't want to give them away. Let's just practice. I said something that applies to your relationship. Okay, good. You may throw off my guest speakers. I've got 4 guest speakers, and I'm going to be honest, they're a little nervous today. We're going to start with Brandon Conway. Brandon Conway, where are you at, sir? Come on, man, you're up. Happy birthday, by the way, yesterday. Yeah, you're on, man. Tell us what you want to tell us. That's right. Lion in church.
Yeah. Oh. Whoa, okay. So first of all, just so everybody in the room knows, FFA does not stand for Future Farmers of America. It's Fathers Feeding Animals. Okay, so let's get that clear. So now, Alf asked me to share a little bit. For those of you that don't know, we have fed show animals and mainly sheep for 12, 13 years. My kids have shown all over the state of Texas. They showed at the county fair here. We've had some ups and we've had some downs. I was just going to kind of run quickly how we do it, what I do, and then I'm not going to take nothing away from them. I've always kind of thought there was 1 or 2 interesting things about sheep. One thing that probably hurts my feelings more than anything is whenever I started feeding them, God calls us sheep, and that hurts my feelings. Because I'm here to tell you, they are stupid. And I'm not making it up. I'm not even trying to be funny. They're just flat dumb. So we go in, and I just thought of this a minute ago sitting in the deal. Many are called, few are chosen. I thought that was kind of cool. It just hit me. I walked in. So when I go to a farm, I'll go to a farm and there'll be pens of, 30 or 40 babies in all these different pens. So you go through there and you walk through there and you look and you do and you decide and you pick what you want. So the breeder has called them, I will choose them. That's kind of cool, huh? Yeah? No? So anyway, that's stupid. So we get babies, we get them home. When we get them home, we give them a day or 2 to kind of just get used to everything, kind of get used to us, get used to the way we run in, we feed, we do this, we do that. And then we start feeding them, we start working them, we start exercising them. Probably one of the coolest things that when we validate, so we go to a validation area, a certain barn, and they ear tag them, they tattoo their ear, and on sheep, they nose print their nose for the major stock shows, for like Fort Worth, San Antonio, all them big stock shows. I never understood. I was like, I think that's the only animal they do that on. I know they don't do it on goats, and I know they don't do it on pigs. I don't know about cattle. I don't think they do it on cattle. So I thought that was interesting. Come to find out, the nose print of a sheep is just like our fingerprints. There's only one. So therefore, you can't go cut the ear tag out and take another one. And so I thought that was kind of interesting, and the Lord calls us sheep, and we're dumb too. And so, but Psalm 23:1 says, the Lord is our shepherd, we shall not want. And that hit me whenever I was reading. I was like, we take these animals in, and for those of you that have been to my house, you see the barn, they're pretty well taken care of. I mean, they've got portacles on them all day long. As cool as they can. They got heat on in the barn in the winter. We cover them up with blankets to protect them from fungus and things of that nature to keep their hide. We feed them the best feed specialized just for them with the correct protein, the correct fat. We exercise them to get them in the best shape that they can possibly be in. And then we get them looking as good as we can get at walking to the show ring. And they still look for a place to die. And it's just like, how dumb. I mean, I'm giving you everything you need, and that's the way we need to be. We need to be a lot more that way. God gives us everything. God is everything that we need, yet we're never satisfied. So we're constantly looking for a place to die.
Yeah.
So that being said, I'll turn it.
Let's hand it to Summer.
One of the next ones.
Yeah. Any questions for Brandon, anybody?
So the next two that are shared are my kids, obviously, and they're the ones that spend all the time in the show barn, or in the show ring. So, what type of sheep? We have shown everything. We've shown fine wools, which are Dorsets, fine wool crosses, which is a cross between that and a Hamp. We've shown Southdowns and medium wool. Medium wools are the cross. They're the ones that typically are the biggest and the best and the boldest because they're the cross of everything, right? So we've shown them all over the years. They do eat horses' tails. Thanks, Doug. This has nothing to do with it, Doug.
Is this an inside joke?
No. This is honest God truth. So my dad
Will this preach?
No, it won't preach. It's stupid. Summer, come on up. So my dad had a horse, had a mare and she had a long, beautiful tail, and he kicked her, had the horse in the pen next to the sheep, and I don't know. I guess the horses love it and the sheep love it because we went out there and that tail was about like that. They chewed the hair of that tail all the way to the nub of the tail. Told you they're stupid.
It's weird, yeah.
Okay? So, all right, here's Summer.
Steph, can we play her video first? Or
Yeah,
you
it's just a
take over?
slideshow, so like kind of to show like what we do in the show ring. So yeah, play it.
Where this one's face is to that kid's face?
No. You can stop. Okay, so this is the sheep I'm going to talk about. But, oh gosh. I knew that was going to happen. Okay, so when Alf asked us to tell sheep stories, me and Dad were talking, and like he said, they're one of the dumbest animals on earth. Like, run into fences, like so stupid. So we showed for 11 years. They all kind of have a personality. Like this one, he's in the barn, like would just walk out of the pen and like stand there and watch us. He did not care. So that's kind of the sheep I'm going to talk about, like I said. So for county show, oftentimes we'll get a sheep from somebody else that they wasn't quite good enough for them to take to majors. So those are like the really big Texas shows like Dad talked about. So if they're not quite good enough for them to take, they had a better one, then they'll just be leftovers just in their barn. So we'll buy them to take to our county. And so this one was one that we bought. That was a leftover. And he was actually really good. He went to our county show, and he won the breed, won a buckle. And then I took him into showmanship, which people think I'm crazy for because fine wools are supposed to be like super crazy, like jumping everywhere and psycho. They're like known for being crazy. So whenever I walk into showmanship with the fine wool, people are like looking at me like I'm a weirdo and don't know what I'm doing.
For a guy that doesn't know showmanship, they have to behave, is what I'm extrapolating, right? And fine wool are crazy.
Yeah, so showmanship is kind of like how well you know your animal, how good of a showman you are, and how good your animal like knows how well y'all's relationship is. So like, if I can tell, that he moved his foot without like looking at him, then I'll fix it. You know, it's kind of just to see who's the best of the best. Yeah. So
we're gonna do that a lot. I got a feeling.
So they're known for being crazy, but he was pretty calm. So we won showmanship, which was really cool. It was my first year to win senior showmanship. It was the summer before my senior year. And then it was the first year that our county had master showmanship, which is like, so the winners of the sheep, pigs, goats, and steers showmanships, we all came together and we all showed a sheep or a goat, a pig, and a steer. So that was kind of cool. So I got to win that. This is the buckle I'm wearing today. Yeah, with that sheep, we won master showmanship and showmanship. So then after county, we were kind of like, okay, he's old, like a leftover from the year before. Like, he's not going anywhere else. So we left him out in the big pen. He was basically a pet. Like I said, he would walk into the barn. He was just, like, you can see all the pens are full because we had 1 million animals that year. And he's just in the big pen, like, would eat the leftover feed that all those animals didn't finish. We would just dump it into a feeder, and he would finish it off. Like, that's exactly what happened. He would just eat, like, whatever they didn't eat. So then fall comes around, and they have a bunch of jackpots, which are, like, all over Texas, just, like, small shows you can go to see kind of, like, where you're at, how good you are, what you need to work on, and just get the sheep, like, ring practice. So we're getting ready to go, and Dad looks at him, and he's like, he's kind of good still. Like, let's see what he looks like. So we clipped him off, and he was like, wow, he still looks really good. Like, kind of the same whenever we took him to county. So he's like, we'll take him, see what happens. So we take him, and he wins another buckle. He won the breed, which we were all like, wow. Like y'all just said, like, really surprised. And then, so after that, we're like, maybe we should put him in his own pen, but we didn't have any. So he still just stayed out in the big pen, but he got I think he might have gotten good food after that. And so then January comes. That was probably like October, November. So then January comes. It's my senior year, and we have like 11 or 12, I don't know, 1 million sheep, way too many. So then we're like trying to figure out which sheep we're gonna take to Fort Worth. So Dad's like, we can take multiple. So we'll just take him. Last show. He's like over a year old, like almost 2 years old probably at this point. Like, that's old for a show sheep, but whatever, it's fine. He still has the teeth, like he's still eligible. Let's take him. So we take him, and you can go to the next slide. And he got second place. Like, the video just before those 2 slides were of like him in that ring at Fort Worth. So yeah, he got second place, which was the best I've ever done at Fort Worth, which was kind of crazy. So we're gonna take him to Angelo, but at St. Angelo you have to be Texas bred, and you have to have a specific ear tag to go to that show. And he had the ear tag from the year before, which again, how old he was, so he couldn't go. But he did get second. He was really good. So I don't know. Alf will probably connect it later, but just kind of like.
Well, if you were gonna connect it, how would you do that?
Like, God's never done with you. Like.
Preach.
You think he kicked you out, but
right.
He might clip you off and take you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Also, the buckles, like, how many buckles have you won? Love it. Yeah, count them out.
Like 18 or 19 probably.
And you wear that where?
What?
You wear your buckle where?
On my belt.
So that everyone, right, so that everyone can see it, right? For your namesake. I'm connecting dots for you, but
good.
He leads you on paths of righteousness for his namesake, right? It's interesting. Callie, what do you got, girl?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, thank you, Summer. Wonderful job. Hey, public speaking is hard, y'all, and they're just fantastic. Y'all are doing great.
Okay. So when Alf came up and asked us after church like 2 weeks ago to say a story about a sheep, so many of them came to mind. And I was like, I do not know which one to say. So it took me a while, and I figured out which one I was going to talk about, and I'm actually going to say two. One of them was like I was at my very first show, and I was really small. I don't know, how old was I? Like 6 maybe? 5, 6, 7? Okay, yeah. Anyway, so this sheep was like so much taller than me, and I was just out there doing my thing. And he is acting up. Like, he's like going everywhere. He's like trampling me. Like, I'm on the ground, but like I'm still hanging on. Like, I'm not letting go. So, so we're going around. I'm trying in my mind. I'm like, do not kick him. Like, do not hit him. Do not kick him. Do not slap him. Like, everything is going through my head. I have no idea what to do. So anyway, so I finally get him going, and I have him by his head. And I'm like working him, and I get out of the ring, and I got 3rd place. So that was that story.
You're working his head. I don't understand that. I think I saw it, but unpack it for me.
So if you go to the next slide, I think. So how our hands, you have to have one on the on the neck and like one on the side of his face, and so like you have him stable basically.
Okay.
And so whenever you have your hands on his head, like that's when they listen, like get them to listen to you basically.
It doesn't. This whole sermon preaches itself.
And so then on my next story, like my dad, we had our guy we got our sheep from lives in Eastland, and so dad came up to us and he was like, hey, we got to go to Eastland, pick up some sheep. We're like, okay, so perfect. So we drive over to Eastland, and I look out in the pen that they had, and there's a sheep that's like, it's okay.
Bring it back. There he is.
The first picture, he has like thick wool and like these long nails. It's so bad. Like it is terrible. Doesn't look like a show sheep. Like it's bizarre. It's so bad. So I'm like, Dad, are you sure you want this one? Like I don't know if that's a good idea. But anyway, he's like, yeah, let's do it. So there's like 4 of us trying to get him in the trailer, and he's like jumping over Dad, and it takes us a long time, but we finally get him in the trailer, and we're going, and we get home. So I go in there, and I'm like, I do not want to be trampled by this one, like by the sheep. Like I'm about to get hurt. No. So I go in, and I get him, and I like get him by his head, and he like listens, like he kind of stops. He still acts up a little bit, but he doesn't act up as bad. And so I get him out of the trailer, and he's like running to the pen. And I'm just like, oh gosh. So we work him, me, Summer, and Dad, we're like working him. Like we work him every day, get him out of the pen, like go walk him around the pasture. Okay.
How does that look?
So you just put your hand under his chin, and you have to like walk him to the side, and you just like walk him like that.
You lead him in the paths
Lead
of
him like that.
righteousness.
That makes
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so we work him, and then we have to get him ready for the show that's coming up. So we have to wash him and dry him, and I'm pretty sure drying took like 2 hours. It was such a long time. And I had a blow dryer, right, like a hair dryer. That did not work. We upgraded to a like a big dryer type thing. I don't know. A blower, yeah, that's right. So it makes everything 10 times fast. And then we washed him and dried him. We clipped him, and then he looked like that after. So that is, and what my story goes to is like, God takes the worst and turns you into your best. So that's what I got.
Let's hear it for the Conways. They're fantastic. Yeah, this church wouldn't be what it is without y'all. Love y'all. A couple weeks ago on a Wednesday night, you can tell I don't know a thing about sheep. And so I'm like, my idea of this thing was we're going to have a sheep show. We're going to bring them down the aisle. And Brandon's like, you do not want that mess. I'm like, why not? And Summer, she goes, we put a drug diaper on him, it may work. And Brandon gives me a look. And so I don't know what I don't know. I'm like, we're going to have a sheep show in church. It's going to be awesome. And so I came back around to Brandon. I'm like, level. He's like, you do not want it. You do not trust me. It will be a mess. Preach, right? I mean, and we joke in ministry like, man, ministry would be fantastic if it wasn't for the people, right? We are a mess. And as I go through the 23rd Psalm, the burden of, I think it's easy to read through it. So, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And I'm like, okay, Alf, don't want. Yeah, that works out. He leads me beside quiet waters. And so in my mind, I'm like, I got to go find some quiet places. I got to find some calm. And as I learn more about shepherds and sheep and I get into the word more, that's not my burden. He has already provided it for me because he's like Brendan Conway and he gives them the best of everything. And they're still looking for a way to die. Okay, so now I'm beginning to get a better understanding of the distance from, first it was the distance from dog to me. And is the distance from dog to me similar to the distance from me to God? And God says, no, it's more accurate from sheep to man. I'm like, oh. And so, yeah, Brandon says that's offensive because sheep are dumb. Compared to God, I am, right? I mean, completely, I have no idea, none at all. I shall not want. I'm going to move back over here. And I'm only doing verse 1 today because there's just so much in this. Wanting is tricky, right? Because I'm a pretty good wanter. Like, there's nothing wrong with my wanter. Facebook Marketplace, just turn it off, right? Dude, there was a 1969 Chevy C30 motorhome. It was awesome. It was another project. I'm like, babe, I need it. She's like, you do not need another project. Hi, babe. She's not feeling good today. There is nothing wrong with my wanter, right? I want that thing, and I want that thing, and I want to buy this for my friends, and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to record soon, and Greg, he's going to do the recording. He goes, what do you want with this? And I said, I want to sell a song to George Strait. And he smirks, and he goes, impossible. And I said it again. He goes, it's impossible, Alf. So I have nothing wrong with my wanter. My wanter works great. Here's the trick. The trick on the wanter is I am most free, Galatians 5:1. It's for freedom he set you free. Therefore stand firm. It's for freedom he set you free. And so when it comes to will and it comes to freedom, I am most free when I have surrendered my will to the Good Shepherd, because hopefully what happens is my want is actually what he wants for me, right? I used to run a ministry called Wakeboard Church. My job was in the boat. It was great. I got to teach wakeboarding and share the gospel. It was it. I was like, this is it. I've arrived. And the Lord did a thing in my heart. And there was a day I was sitting on Grapevine Lake in my boat. And he's like, there's more in the tank for you. You want to be where I want you to be. And I like knew it. And there was this grieving because I had this big dream, and I had realized that all my dreams had come true, and I was doing what I wanted to do, and the Lord was like, it's not what you want, is it? And it was hard to agree with him because I go to the lake for a living, right? And then what he did was something deeper, and he grew me in it. And so I had to surrender my will to him. And even though I'm like, no, this is what I've always wanted. This is what I've always wanted. I can't, no. I surrendered to that. The Lord is my shepherd, right? Praying. When we bring a prayer to the Lord, what are we doing? We're exercising our will. Lord, I want this. Well, it's interesting that he allows us to do that at all. He's an omnipotent, sovereign being that knows all things, sees all time equally vividly. He knows what we're going to pray. Why does he encourage us to pray? I'll let you work on that one. Does prayer change God, or does prayer change man? Right? Remember in the garden when Jesus said, not my will, but yours be done, Lord. This is the Son of God. Luke 22:42. Not my will, but yours be done. That is a fantastic statement. Okay, so what about those that are like, okay, maybe I don't know what I want. Is it okay? Psalm 20, verse 4, there's this Okay, so I just need to get in line and do whatever God wants. And then Psalm 20, verse 4 is like, let the desires of your heart come to pass. Let all your plans succeed. Wait, what? So the Lord doesn't want you to be this automaton robot. He made you with a wanter. The trick is, it's for freedom he set us free. I want my wanter to be what he wants for me, and that way I will be most free. That's what I've come up with, right? Tracking with that? He leads me on paths of righteousness, and I just wonder what these sheep are, if they could talk to each other, like the one that had Callie with the hairdryer, and it had a bit of like, I've arrived. I don't know if sheep do that with each other. I don't know how that works. As you go through the psalm, I'm super prepared today. It's fantastic. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Or another way to say it would be, since the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Other translations say, I lack nothing. It's a statement of, rest assured, everything that you need has been provided for you. Everything. But I don't feel like it. That's on you. The Lord absolutely has provided everything you need. Absolutely. I'm going to get real with you right now. I'm in a health situation, and it's been this way for about 3 years. And I get, just believe and trust. Okay, cool, that works too. And then go to the doctor, right? And it's still here. And I, like the sheep, lie down in green pastures. For a sheep to lie down in green pastures, it has to be free of fear. It has to be, it can't have any infighting in the flock. There can't be any parasites or any junk, any fungus. Brandon talked about fungus, and it has to be full. It has to be fed, right? And so I'm in this space of like, Lord, I want to be healed. And why haven't you done it yet? Is it honestly, I've been on prednisone since October. I'm off of it now. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I can't eat what I want. It's just a wrestle. It stinks, right? And like, what are you doing, Lord? Very personally, Lord, I want to be healed. Why haven't you done it? That's me and him, right? And I'll hear, well, he does want to heal you. Cool. Is he sovereign or not? But if he's sovereign, then he can do it, right? And so there's this quandary. And yes, I believe that he wants to heal me, but I also know that he's working through something. I see you, friend. I see you. It's hard when you're dealing with chronic health issues. So, Lord, again, here I have to submit and I have to trust his way and acknowledge that I'm a dumb sheep. I don't even know how to pray right? The best I can do is just continue to follow after him and go to the spaces that he's provided for me. I could just get started. We're not going to do that. We're going to close up here in just a second. Stacy, would you come share what you're going to share? As she walks up, I lack nothing. I shall not want, right? Let that hang out. And she's going to bring us to the first part of that verse. Yay, Stace.
I haven't done anything yet, so, and you took a couple of things I was already going to talk about, so it's fine. And he didn't tell me there was going to be any interaction, so y'all be nice. But I am probably going to take a little bit kinder approach to sheep than everybody else. I am an animal person. He says, are you a cat person or a dog person? I like all animals. If an alligator, I thought that would work out well, I'd go pet that. So I showed lambs for 10 years quite a while ago. I'm not going to say how long, but a while ago. So I was able to show lambs, raise some bottle lambs, worked with the breeder. So I saw a few things about lambs. So the Lord as my shepherd has really always resonated with me because I saw some of the situations that sheep can get themselves into, like we saw, and they could never get themselves out of it, let me tell you. So and you would just look at them and say, how and why? Those were the questions that I asked all the time. time. So I thought we'd just talk a little bit about the nature of sheep, and maybe if we understand a little bit about what motivates them, maybe we won't think they're still dumb. I mean, we're not going to lie. They're still dumb, but what motivates them and what is their innate nature? So I tried to pick a few things about them that would fit well with what we were talking about today. First and foremost, they're prey animals. So they are innately, they know that they're prey. Even if they're in your pen and they're not being predated upon, they are prey. Their eyes are on the side of their heads like all prey animals, so they're always vigilant. They're always looking for danger. They're always just watching. And they will run. So in fight or flight, flight is what they are going to try to go for. They're not going to fight. If they don't have an escape route, they will stop and they'll stomp their feet at you or they'll headbutt you or something like that, but they generally do want to run. This was the part we were talking about. I think we gloss over, he makes me lie down in green pastures, because a lot of things have to happen for a flock to really completely lie down. They all have to feel safe. They all have to feel completely provided for. And if one doesn't feel safe and is up, then the whole flock will be up. So, I think that's something that we gloss over. I also think they were born looking for a place to die. We always said that. So I got really good friends with a veterinarian. I got really good at wound care myself. I got really good at taking care of injuries. Got really good at taking care of illnesses and sicknesses because we had those on the place. And we did lose a few over the years, unfortunately. I probably had 60, 70 show lambs, and one year lost 3 to copper poisoning because we provided them good feed, but we got a bad batch of feed and it killed a few. And let me tell you, as their owner, it was hard to lose them because the reality of livestock production is they do have an end goal that is to feed the world. You know, this little piggy went to market, didn't mean he made a grocery run. So, but sorry. But anyway, but the reality is that the reality is that while these animals are in our care, we're stewarding them for the Lord, and I think we really do need to care about them. And I think anyone that has owned animals, even if you think they're dumb, you still spend a lot of time caring for them, taking care of them. You're going to give them the best food, the best thing that is possible. So it was really hard to lose them when we had ones that died, or even when they went to market. My first show lamb, though, didn't ever go to market. I had a 15-year-old Southdown sheep that lived in the backyard because my mom, not because of the 8-year-old girl, but my mom made my dad go back and get the sheep before it went on the truck. So he lived with the dogs, and he learned to live with dogs. They are herd animals, so they're going to want to go together. They're going to follow each other. They're going to rely on each other to, they're going to rely on each other to watch out for danger, for safety, things like that. They are looking for leadership. So sometimes there might be an old ewe in the flock that will be the leader. One year for 2 bottle lambs, they found a leader in the form of my mom's 10-pound toy poodle named Bandit. And so you would see, and Bandit was born looking for somebody to lead. So it worked out great for the dog and the sheep. I bet they tracked 20 miles a day around the property. You'd look out and see the poodle and the 2 little bottle lambs following him. So they're looking for leadership because they really don't know how to lead themselves, and they'll follow each other. And they'll follow, and they're creatures of habit, so they'll follow the same trails over and over and over again until they run a rut in the ground. So unless you move them to a different pasture or you've done something different than to deter them to go on a different route, they'll just take the same route over and over and over again. They can learn names and remember faces. So they would, I would buy a lamb, buy a ewe. Ewes are girls, by the way. Ewes are girls, rams are boys. I would buy a ewe every year from a breeder, and then after showed them for a year, I would then take them back to that breeder, and then they would go back into their herd. And so if I went over back to look at the next year's lamb crop or whatever, those ewes would recognize me. And sometimes they would come back up to me. Sometimes they all have personalities. Sometimes they're aloof, just like people, but they could recognize you again. And they learn their names, which can be interesting. So then we talked a little bit about just how I worked with new lambs, and it was a lot like what Brandon said. So one interesting thing about sheep, I think, if left in a flock, so the flock is the overarching group of sheep. But if they're left to their own devices, they stay within their maternal groups. So one ewe has lambs, and then their ewes, and then they stay together. So they'll stay with each other throughout their lifetime if they're left in their flock. So when you show lambs, not that you're ripping them from their family or anything, but basically they come to live with you, and so you have to become their family. And so what I would do is I took a calmer approach, I think, to sheep than some people, but I would just go sit with them and talk to them and just sit there and talk. You're shaking your head, yes. You have to get them to know your voice. And so they want you need to be a safe place for them. They need to know that you're not a threat, that you're going to feed them, provide for them, that you're going to be the one that comes in and takes care of them. And so oftentimes I would just sit on the ground with them for a couple of days. And I'm sure they were like, there's Stacy out there sitting out there talking to her sheep again. But whatever, it is what it is. But you just really spend some time with them and let them get to know you, get to know them. Even in the first couple of days, I really wouldn't even interact with them. I would just sit there quietly, calmly, just let them know that they were safe and that start to build that relationship. And so then you move on to just, can you walk up to them, then put a halter on them, teach them to lead. Y'all saw in the videos about bracing in the shows. One thing that this may shock all of you, but I've never been very tall. And so, I know, I'm so tall now. But no, and so as a kid, the grown sheep weighed more than I did. So I was not going to manhandle them. I was not going to overpower them. Same when I showed heifers. I was not going to overpower a 1,200-pound heifer. So I had to get it to where they learned to work with me. And I wasn't going to lift them to get them up on the shearing stand like y'all saw. So I had to teach them to jump up there on their own. I wasn't going to lift a 100-pound sheep. So a lot of that was building the relationship so that they trusted me. I didn't even hear it. And showmanship, we talked about showmanship. That was one of the things I love to do because I didn't always have the most expensive sheep. I didn't always have the sheep or the heifer or whatever that was going to win the show, but I could work on showmanship and I could win that based on my relationship and how me and that animal work together. Like you said about a foot is off. You know that animal so well that you can tell if they're agitated or if they're anything going on with them or if they're having an off day. So showmanship was something where you really had to develop those relationships with them. And so really just letting them know our voice too, because we also hauled all over the state of Texas and we might end up in a random fairground in Gonzales, Texas. Well, what happens if they get out? And then you have sheep just out in a strange place that they don't know. They need to know your voice so that you can call them back, which didn't always work the way that you want it to. But if they did get out for some reason, that you needed to be the safe place that provided food and water, and that was where they wanted to come back to. So I do think sheep are dumb, but I think there's a reason, because it's the way they were made, being prey, being herd animals, being followers, looking for leadership. And so, I don't know that it's the insult that we all want it to be, or it can be, but it also is a bit of an insult because we had two get their heads stuck in one panel hole one time. You had to take a hacksaw to the fence to get them out. I mean, so there's some dumb things that they did. But anyway, so I just appreciate the chance to share a little bit about sheep with y'all today and what maybe motivates them. So thank you.
Stacey. Here's a question for the sheepmen and women. Why sheep? Why not another animal? Okay. It preaches itself, right? Y'all are tracking with me. I feel like that, like going around in a circle, digging a rut in the ground. I need to be led on paths of righteousness. And I couldn't help, as Brandon's talking about the sheep print on the nose, and she's saying, well, they can recognize faces. Stephanie, put my favorite picture up, please. I love this. My buddy from Alaska posted it. And look who's in the back there, just running after. He absolutely, he doesn't hate you. He's not mad at you, right? You're dumb. We're dumb sheep, right? And so what I've been informed of this process is that he absolutely knows I'm going to mess up. He's not happy about it, but why so downcast, O my soul? A cast sheep is a sheep that's flipped upside down and it can't get itself right side up. And the shepherd is like, turkey, you did it again. And he flips him back over and he massages his legs like, come on. And then the sheep walks off and falls over again because it's downcast. Psalm 42:11. Why so downcast, O my soul? And there's just this picture of the shepherd is not abandoning you. The shepherd's not angry with you. The sheepman, the shepherd, the good shepherd loves you dearly. My prayer today is that you are able to say, the Lord is my shepherd. My prayer today, and I don't have time, go read John 10. There's a part in John chapter 10, 1 through 31. Jesus is talking to Pharisees and his disciples, and he says, there are sheep not of this fold that I have to call. And it's almost like if Jesus were on The Chosen and he looked down the barrel, and he said, there are sheep not of this fold. He's talking about y'all. He's talking about us, talking about future Christendom. We're in that. Fall here on this. A sheep, right? Tommy, if you'd come up and just play something for us, and then those that are doing baptisms, y'all can go ahead and get set for that. But I want you to take time. If you need to come to the altar, you can, but I just encourage you to kind of process your wanter. Are you content with the Lord where he's got you? Are you able to call him your good shepherd? And by golly, do you know the sound of his voice? Right? And maybe you don't. Maybe you've been in the same rut over and over. You're just going in circles, right? Please don't stand up today to close this out. What I want you to do is just introspectively ruminate, chew on Psalm 23:1. What is my relationship to you, Lord? Are you my shepherd? Do you want? Do you lack nothing? Chances are it's not about him not providing enough for you. Chances are it's just that we're out of whack. And we need to realign with who he is. Father, let me hear your voice. Brandon said something a couple weeks ago, and it's kind of how this whole preach thing got started. He goes, they're usually pretty much okay once I get their head in my hands. Lord, today would my head be in your hands with my little unique nose print as a frail ewe lamb before you, needing you. I surrender. I want to hear your voice and I want to be led by you. We're going to give you just a few moments of silence to pray on your own. Lord, we come to you today and we acknowledge our place. Thank you for the affection that you have for us. Thank you for the way that you go after the one. Thank you for leading me. Thank you for preparing everything that I need. Please don't let me take it for granted. In your beautiful name, Lord. Amen. If you've never initiated or talked to Jesus, if you don't know where your relationship with Jesus is, would you talk to me or Brent or anybody on staff or a life group leader or one of our elders, please? If you feel like I'm still going around the pen, Alp, I don't know what to do, come talk to me. Let's talk about ways to break out of the rut. And then my final thought is just whatever it looks like for you for your face to be in his hands in worship, would you find that space this week? Maybe it's a back porch, maybe it's a hammock, maybe it's worship, maybe it's a long walk. But be with the shepherd is my prayer. Awesome. Thanks, y'all. We're about to have a baptism.
summer. Thank y'all so much for sharing your experiences as well as what it means. I know God has taught y'all so much through your experiences, and you know, let's be okay with realizing that we're sheep and that we need him, right? Yeah. I gotta have him. If not, I'm an absolute mess. Yeah. Absolute mess. And so, one more announcement. I forgot. Next Sunday is a family service. We won't have children's church in the back. It's the fifth Sunday, I believe. We're all going to be in here. Kids, they're running around, whatever. We're going to have a good time. Bring just the whole family, and we'll have a great time together. That's this coming Sunday. Just so that you don't think that you take your kids back there to the back, or we won't have children's church. We'll still have Sunday school. All that's the same. But children in here next Sunday. Yeah. Ben, close us out, please, sir.
Lord, I thank you that we have the ability to be led by you. I thank you that I am a sheep. That's kind of hard to say, but I think I am a sheep because if I'm in your flock, there's absolutely nothing that can stand against me. There's absolutely nothing that can't be done because you are my shepherd. Lord, I thank you for what you're doing in this church, what you're doing in this